I bid you welcome, Monsters by Moonlight. I'm Zazubaar, and welcome back to another Universal Horror Review. Today we're not looking at any particular movies in particular, but we're going to be doing a Universal Monster-related review, which I've kind of devoted this month to. I know I said I was thinking of doing a comparison between Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, but that would be kind of redundant because this week's episode of Geeky Gentleman, that show I do with Sid Part 2 and Milan Jeftik 1992, we basically did that. So, but the main consensus of that video was to review Bride of Frankenstein, which was a lot of fun. A lot of varying opinions between the three of us, so it was a lot of fun to do. So, when that video is posted, it's not posted at the time of me making this video, but when it is, this will be a video response to it, so you can check out this week's episode of Geeky Gentleman in the video response section below. So check that out. It's a great episode. I highly recommend it. And of course, you can download that as a podcast on Podomatic.com. Excuse me. So it's kind of an advertisement / video I was going to do anyway. I decided not to do a comparison between Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein because we did that in the Geeky Gentleman episode. So instead, I'm going to be reviewing these Universal Monster DVD collections that I bought. Now these are not really a box set, but what I bought were these 100th anniversary spotlights on the Universal Monster movies. Now not all of them are in here, but there are quite a few. Basically all the main monsters are covered in this collection. Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy, the Wolf Man, the Invisible Man, and the Phantom of the Opera. Now, none of their sequels, except for Bride of Frankenstein, is in these collections, but all the main monsters have at least one film covered. Now, we're gonna review these first, and this is gonna take up the chunk of the video. But what I also want to take a look at is I don't think this is in the same collection, but I also want to take a look at this double feature I bought of Frankenstein double features. It's called Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman and House of Frankenstein. So we're going to be taking a look at that as well. And also, this is kind of a bonus, we're going to do a quick review of House of Frankenstein because that's a film I haven't really gotten my opinions out on. Now, I know I'm also doing a video later this month, which is a spotlight on the Universal Monsters, and it's going to be kind of a tribute. So I'm going to save my opinions for Dracula, Frankenstein, all that stuff when we get to that. But I wanted to just take a look at how they're presented in these DVDs now, and we're also just going to do a quick little review of House of Frankenstein. So this should be a fun, long video, so stick with me. So let's start out with what I consider to be Volume 1 of these two Universal collection box sets. Now, the actual name of this is Universal 100th Anniversary Spotlight Collection Classic Monsters. And the same thing goes for the second one. So I suppose we'll go from in order of what I suppose would be Volume 1 and Volume 2. So we'll start out with Volume 1. Now, right off the bat, one thing I want to say is I adore these things visually. They carry the spirit of the Universal Monsters. Just the classic posters that are presented, just the color style, different posters on the back. It's very nostalgic for the Universal Monsters, and that's of course why I bought them, because I have huge nostalgia for the Universal Monsters, and I just absolutely adore this visually. It's gorgeous. Also, one thing I love is that on the side it tells you what movies are presented. Upside down nonetheless. No, there we go, right side up. All the movies that are presented, as well as I also like this kind of chronicle thing. I always love this whenever they do like a collection of DVDs. It says the company and then the collection is part of Classic Monsters, so I really like that as well. One thing I also really like, and this is a sleeve, by the way. There's another DVD inside here. We'll get to that in a second. But one thing I also really like about this sleeve is that it gives you a little description of each movie on the back, right under the title, which I like that each title is in its font. And it gives you a description of the film, like a little plot synopsis, and then it also gives you a list of the special features, which, oh my god, the special features on these DVDs are fantastic. The commentaries are great for the most part. The actual documentaries on them are absolutely fantastic, and just the whole package is great. So I like that a lot. I do always appreciate when they give you a description of the movie and of the special features on the back of the sleeve, so that way people who are just in a DVD store buying it can look at what they're getting themselves into on the back. Because oftentimes what these will do, DVDs that have sleeves, is that the sleeve won't tell you shit. It'll just be what it is, and that's it. And then you don't actually get what's on each DVD until you get inside the DVD. So I really like that. I appreciate that, and it's definitely a good incentive to keep the sleeve, because aside from that, it's also a really nice looking sleeve. But also it just tells you what's on each DVD. It's also got a nice shine to it. It's not metallic, but it's nice and shiny, and just again, it's nostalgic for the old Universal monster movies. It just looks fantastic. So just visually, it's fantastic, and design-wise on the sleeve, it's great. So that's really all I have to say about the sleeve. Now on to the actual DVD. Now the cover is basically the same, though it's not shiny. It still looks nice. Again, nice and nostalgic for the Universal monster period. Now the back is a little different, because for the most part it's the same. However, there are no plot synopsi, I don't know. There's no plot summaries, and there's no rundown of the special features. Now, I don't have a huge problem with that because that's on the sleeve, and that gives you a reason to keep the sleeve. What I like about this is that it's the cast and crew, which is something I find very, very cool. It's the cast and crew of the actual production of the film, not the people who made the DVD. Which that alone could probably take up the entire thing. I like that there's the cast and crew of the films on the back here. So that's really great as well. So just the actual DVD itself looks great as well. I like that we've got different stuff on the back, though for the most part it's a mirror of what we did on the front. Okay, so now we're gonna go inside, and you'll notice some of these are missing, but that's just because I've been watching them and some of them are in my DVD players. But now we're gonna go in the interior, and oh my god! It's the floppy shit! Oh no! Yeah, you can see Bride of Frankenstein is missing. That's because I watched it last night. But, oh no, it's the floppy shit. Everyone run for your lives! No, it's actually, again, just like the Godzilla DVD collection, really well done here. This is just as well designed as the Godzilla DVD collection was. Oh, I can actually pull that out. It's right here. Just 1 second. You guys will remember this. This is just as well designed as this is. So the interior is fantastic. Again, we've got room for the floppy shit to go into something so it doesn't like shake the DVD. It does a little bit because I'm holding it with one hand, but if I'm just holding it like a book and I put it in there, it doesn't feel like it's gonna fall apart. So that in and of itself is really well designed. The actual individual pages, or whatever you want to call them, really well reinforced. We've got this little spine thing here. That's really well done. Just extremely well designed. They close great. And again, these aren't just basic DVDs. They're thick. Just like the Godzilla DVD collection was. They're thick. They feel strong. If I drop it by accident, it doesn't feel like it's gonna break inside. Just, again, when you have to use the floppy shit, this is really great. So, this particular design for the floppy shit is fantastic. So, well designed. Again, if I have the option to not have the floppy shit, I'm gonna go for that. But since you're kind of backed into a corner with this, it's great. It's well done. So it's very, very well designed. Very, very well designed. So I guess we'll go to visually on the actual DVDs themselves. Visually, they're not particularly impressive, but they look fine. They look again a little bit nostalgic for the Universal monster period. They look a little old-timey, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, they've got the logos for the individual movies on there, which is nice. I just dropped Creature from the Black Lagoon. So visually, they look great. Again, nice and nostalgic for the Universal Monsters period, which I feel like that's what this DVD was going for, was a nostalgia for that. And that's basically what all the documentaries are about. Now, we're gonna get into some complaints. Two things I want to bring up about what's actually on here. The menus are well designed, they're nice and accessible. Actually, three complaints. One, you can't just go right to the menu, or well, you can, but it doesn't just take you right to the menu. Actually, what happens is when you pop it in, the movie immediately starts playing, and that drives me crazy. Why won't you just go right to the menu? Sometimes I don't want to watch the movie. Sometimes I want to watch the commentary. Like, you know, flip the commentary on, watch the documentary, jump to an individual scene. Don't go right to the movie. Don't predict my behavior. I hate it when DVDs do that. These all do it. I mean, it's easy enough to go right to the menu, but just like, you shouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? It should just be like, if I want to go right to the menu, I should. I feel like I don't like it when DVDs force me to go right to the movie first. Just take me to the menu. Let me make up my mind on what I want to do. Don't force me. So that's kind of a problem. It's not a huge problem because, again, you can just jump right to the menu. But actually, you can't, because what it does is it goes through the Universal logo first, which is a fucking long logo. So once that's done, and then it goes to the old-fashioned Universal logo for each individual movie, then you can go to the menu. So that's annoying. My second complaint is that the actual menus for the documentaries, because each of these has a documentary, and they're all great documentaries. They're all very informative. They're all nice and concise, which I like. I feel like sometimes documentaries can really drag, but these are all nice and concise. And like, we've got The Road to Dracula, The Frankenstein Files, She's Alive, Back to the Black Lagoon. They're all great, nice and concise, and all very, very informative. Now the thing is that on the menus, it's a little clunky, because you go to the bonus features menu, then you go to the individual documentary, and then it takes you to another menu where it asks you to either be spoken English or subtitles. I mean, I can't complain about this too much, only because, I mean, I get it. There are people out there who can't hear, so they need, you know, stuff. They need special things, but it should just be subtitles. It's really a clunky menu. It's just a clunky looking menu. It's just it's annoying. I feel like if you're gonna have a DVD that is handicap accessible, let's put it, just have subtitles. You know, I mean, just have subtitles be accessible from the remote, like all subtitles are. You don't have to have this really clunky menu. So, that was another problem I had. Again, I get it. People out there need to be able to hear, or they need to be able to see it if they can't hear it. So, fair enough. I don't want to complain about that too much. It's just, as someone who doesn't need that, it's a little annoying. So, that was a little annoying. One more thing I want to complain about quick. You know what? I wish I had the Bride of Frankenstein DVD out, because that's the one I'm complaining about. But let's pretend it's there. Bride of Frankenstein. I'll just put a little picture right here, just so you guys can have a visual. The Bride of Frankenstein documentary is great. It's nice and informative on James Whale's vision of the Bride of Frankenstein. That's great. The commentary for Bride of Frankenstein, however, is not so great. The commentary is done. All the commentaries for the different films are different by different people. The Bride of Frankenstein one is done by film historian Scott McQueen. I've never encountered him before, so I'm not sure if this was just a fluke for him. But the commentary for the Bride of Frankenstein is easily the worst audio commentary I have ever listened to on a DVD. I mean, it's boring. He doesn't enunciate his words. He doesn't really give any great information about the making of the movie. It's a really bad commentary. It's not very entertaining to listen to. It's overall a crappy commentary. Hands down the worst I've ever heard. I would recommend every other commentary on these DVDs except for Scott McQueen's on Bride of Frankenstein. Now, I'm looking to see if he does any other ones. And he sure does. He does it on the Phantom of the Opera. Yeah. I don't really like the Scott McQueen's commentary on Bride of Frankenstein at all. It's really bad. that's basically all I have to say about Volume 1. Again, it's great. It's absolutely fantastic, and visually it's great. Just design-wise, it's great. So overall, it's a really great DVD. Now for Volume 2, I don't really have a lot to say because it's basically the same. It's a different color, which I like. I feel like these movies should have been differently ordered. Because they should have either done one of two things: chronological order or importance of the monster order. If they were gonna do chronological order, the Mummy should be where the Creature from the Black Lagoon is. And then followed by The Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein. Now I understand putting Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein together, but they should have either gone in chronological order, or the order that would have made more sense to me, the importance of the monster. Now, this is not a personal thing, this is just where the monsters are usually featured. It should have gone Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman. No, here's Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, and then Phantom of the Opera. Now that's the order it should have gone in if they were doing that. I would personally prefer chronological order, it just makes more sense to me. But if they really wanted to do it like some strange importance of the monster, they should have done Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, then Invisible Man, then Phantom of the Opera. So I feel like that should have been done instead of this weird placement we got. We have the Mummy, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, and then Phantom of the Opera. I'm not sure what kind of sense that makes, but it doesn't make any sense in my mind. Just strange. That being said, again, visually they look great. Again, I like the use of the posters. The text fonts are all great. Just color-wise, it's great. Just visually, it's a really nice looking DVD. So not much to say about Volume 2. It's basically the same exact thing as Volume 1, just different movies. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this one. It's the same exact thing. The DVD is the same. Again, it's the same design, aesthetic. It's just it's great. It's a well put together DVD. All the DVDs are in there for this one. So yeah. I don't want to say about Volume 2 because it's basically the same as Volume 1. Just visually it's great, aesthetically it's great, it's well designed. So now on to overall recommendations for the Universal Spotlight 100th Anniversary DVDs. I would say definitely pick them up. They're great. If you're looking to get all of Universal's stuff, go for the Universal Monsters box set or just go for the Legacy DVDs. The Legacy DVDs are more expensive than these are, but they're a lot more all-encompassing. Like, you usually get about 4 movies on each DVD, so I say those are well worth it. I mean, they're gonna cost you a lot of money, but in the long run, they're really worth it. Because just for the level of bonus movies you get on each DVD, like for the Wolfman, you get Werewolf of London, you get the House of films, and then you get She-Wolf of London, which whoever heard of that? So I would say if you've got the cash, go out for those, and if you want to get all the movies, I'd say go out for those. But I say if you're looking for a nice, relatively cheap venture into Universal's nostalgic territory, these are cheap. These are about $15 a pop. So I say go for these if you're looking for financial, like a budget buy. And of course you get documentaries, you get commentaries. I say this is well worth the price of admission. So if you're looking for budget buys for the Universal movies, I say go for these. They're fantastic. I'm gonna give these a 5 out of 5. They're both fantastic. I like now I'm not sure. One quick thing I want to say before I actually finish my recommendation. I'm not sure if there are more of these. From what I could tell, there's only 2 volumes, but if there are more, I say go for all of them because these are fantastic. I give them a 5 out of 5. They're just they're great. So again, they're budget healthy. They're well put together. They're nostalgic. They're fun. So I say go for these. They're great. Great for any Halloween party. So absolutely fantastic DVDs. So I highly recommend these if you're going for a budget Universal buy. So now we're gonna take a relatively quick look at the Universal Studios Frankenstein double feature of Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman and House of Frankenstein. Now, I was a little bit disappointed that House of Dracula wasn't on there just to finish up the Wolfman series, because, I mean, no matter how you slice it, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman through House of Dracula, they're Wolfman movies. I mean, the Frankenstein monster and Dracula are in them, but they were not really prominent. Like, Dracula always dies at the beginning, and Frankenstein's monster always dies at the end, so, or doesn't even wake up till the end, so, I just say, they're all Wolfman movies, so I would say finish up the Wolfman movies on this one, make it a triple feature, but I suppose that wouldn't have been, money healthy for Universal. So, this is not much to say about this. It's just basically a cheap double feature, just in case you want to get the movies themselves. They're basically VHS tapes on DVD. In fact, I think these are just the Universal Monster Collection VHS tapes put on DVD, so there's nothing really special about them. If you just want to get these movies, I say give this a go, but I mean, visually it's nice. You've got the Wolfman's face in the background. You've got Frankenstein's monster's face as portrayed by Glenn Strange. You've got the posters, of course. Frankenstein poster. It's just really cool. And then, of course, the back, you've got a description of each film. The title, of course. Now, for the special features, they're non-existent, so I don't know why the fuck they put their own bar there, but, it's absolutely pointless. I like how they show you the menus, though. That's fun. But just aesthetically, it's well done. Just, I don't know why the hell they put a special features bar when there are no special features. Well, let's run this down. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman trailer. All DVDs have trailers. House of Frankenstein trailer. Production notes. I don't even know what that is. And then cast and filmmakers. Production notes, cast and filmmakers, cool. Not really special features. Could probably find those on the internet. So, as for this DVD, it was really cheap. It was only about $10. So, again, if you're going for a budget buy for the Universal movies, I say this isn't bad. I mean, it's just one DVD, just a double feature DVD, which aesthetically, again, that looks nice. It's basically a condensed version of the cover, so that's really nice. But I think if you're going for a budget buy of the Universal movies, I say give this a buy as well. My DVD store didn't have any more copies of the Legacy DVDs, so this was just a good budget buy. And again, visually they're nice. Just aesthetically they're nice. And design-wise, there's not much to say. So I mean, just overall, it's a decent DVD. Just again, really very simple for old movies like this. So again, it's basically just a VHS tape on DVD. So I suppose if you're just looking for the movies, I say give it a buy, but otherwise, you know, it's not really anything to write home about. So decent DVD. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's not bad. It's just nothing special. So 3.5 out of 5 for me. So now I'm gonna move over a little bit so we can take a look at the House of Frankenstein. This is gonna be a quick review because we're probably gonna talk about it in the Universal chat we're gonna do later this month on ZGC. But we're going to take a quick look at the House of Frankenstein just to give my overall thoughts on it. I'd only seen the film once before buying it on this DVD. And that one time I saw it, I loved the crap out of it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really entertaining. I thought it was not as good as Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, but it was definitely a decent Universal monster movie. Some creative plot points. Some nice brain swapping ideas with the Universal monsters, but I don't know, I thought it was fun. And then I watched it on this DVD. I don't know what changed, and the movie's not bad, but it's really disappointing. And here's what I mean by that. First things first, the monsters don't share any screen time. Dracula, Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster are all in this movie. As well as Boris Karloff and his hunchback assistant. Cool. I suppose the hunchback can be considered a monster all of itself, but who really cares? So I was really disappointed that none of the monsters share any screen time, because I don't know about you, but that's why I would watch the movie, to see like the Wolfman encounter Dracula. Wouldn't that be fun? No, they don't share any screen time. basically, here's the plot synopsis. A mad scientist played by Boris Karloff, whose name is Dr. Niemann, which, by the way, Karloff does give a great performance in this. He knows how to play the hell out of a creepy mad scientist. Not that he didn't do anything like that before this, but this was definitely impressive. So, I mean, what he does is he's fascinated by the work of Dr. Frankenstein, and apparently his brother worked for Dr. Frankenstein at some point. The continuity of the Universal movies is all over the place. However, we know that it has to have something to do with the 1931 version of Frankenstein, because the Frankenstein journal that's used in this film is written by Henry Frankenstein, so we know it has something to do with the 1931 film. But otherwise, the continuity is all over the place. Well, kind of. We'll get into some of the good continuity in a little bit, but basically, Dr. Niemann wants to go to the town that was in the last movie, Visaria, and Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. And he wants to use Dr. Frankenstein's notes to do a little bit of brain transplanting. And basically, I'm not really sure what his motives are. He basically just wants to experiment on his assistant. And he's basically just fascinated by the work of Dr. Frankenstein and wants to take part in it. So, basically what happens is he passes through this other town, and he's murdered a traveling circus man named Lampini, who happens to have the coffin of Count Dracula on this caravan that he owns. And the coffin of Count Dracula, Dr. Niemann doesn't believe in Dracula, so he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, but Dr. Niemann has his assistant, Daniel, who's the hunchback, murder Lampini, and what am I trying to say here? Sorry, there's some noise going on that kind of distracted me for a second. I apologize for that. Dr. Niemann takes the place of Lampini and disguises himself as he, and they kind of disguise themselves as this traveling circus, and they go to this town called I forgot what the name of the town was. It's not Visaria, it's somewhere else. And he puts Count Dracula's coffin on display there, the skeleton and everything. Now, Dracula is just a skeleton at this point because there's a wooden stake where his heart would be. And he says that if that wooden stake is taken out, Dracula will awaken with a bloodlust like no other. Dr. Niemann apparently wants revenge on these different judges who tried to have him, who had him put in jail many years ago for his strange experiments. And one of them is this guy who lives in this town. And Niemann pulls the stake out of Dracula and promises Dracula that if he works for him and takes out all these judges, he will have his coffee ready. Coffee. that would have worked, actually. No, coffin. Which, as the Dracula fans will know, Dracula can only sleep in a coffin that has a layer of earth from his birth land inside the coffin if he wants to live immortally. Niemann promises him that if Dracula kills this guy, that he'll have this coffin ready for him in the next morning. I swear to God, I want to say coffee because that makes sense. So Dracula does this. He does this in the typical Dracula fashion. Social slutism, as I like to call it. Dracula works his way socially into this guy's social circle. He has a fun night with his family, and tries to seduce his daughter-in-law, and then kills this guy. And Dracula attempts to escape with this woman, and but she's captured by her husband, and not captured, but rescued by her husband. Dracula is being chased by the police. Dr. Niemann wants to get away, so he's just telling Dracula, "Fuck you, Dracula! You did what I needed you to do. Now I'm leaving you to die." So Dracula's carriage crashes. The sun starts to rise. But here's the cool thing: Dr. Niemann, being a badass, chucks Dracula's coffin out of the caravan, and Dracula is scrambling to get into it, but it's too late. The sun rises and he's disintegrated. So. That's the end of Dracula's story. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. None of the monsters share any screen time. Dracula dies about 10 minutes before the Wolfman and Frankenstein's monster are introduced. And, so that drove me nuts. So basically what happens is, Niemon and Daniel make their way to Visseria, where they find the, castle of Dr. Frankenstein's, presumably, Ludwig Frankenstein's castle. Again, the continuity of Universal movies is fucked. Where they find the icy grave of the Wolfman and the Frankenstein monster, and they thaw them both out. Niemon wanting to get his hands on the Frankenstein monster, and thawing out the Wolfman because he thinks he might know where Frankenstein's journal is, which he does. That's a good bit of continuity right there. And I also really like the continuity from Frankenstein meets the Wolfman to House of Frankenstein, that they're both together. They're all iced up. That's well done. And that's really the only good piece of continuity in the damn film. That and one other thing, but otherwise the rest of it's fucked. The Wolfman gives Niemon Dr. Frankenstein's notes because the Wolfman, again, Lawrence Talbot from the previous film just wanted to die. He was looking for a way to die because apparently, even if you shoot a werewolf with a silver bullet, he'll only stay dead if moonlight doesn't touch him. Dr. Niemon says, "Listen, Larry, you don't have to die to not be a werewolf. I can cure you." He thinks the way to do this is through a brain transplant. I will not even kind of get into the science of this because clearly the writers weren't thinking about it, so I'm not going to think about it either. But basically, he promises Larry a brain transplant, and that'll cure him of his werewolfism. Apparently, he's going to put his brain in the body of the Frankenstein monster. I don't know. What am I trying to say here? So they thought the Frankenstein monster as well. Niemon gets wrapped up in reviving him. So just like in the previous film, Larry gets upset, and he still keeps turning into the Wolfman at night, and Niemon continues to work on the monster without even worrying about him. Now, here's the other good piece of continuity I like. Larry promises Niemon to drive the carriage, there's a gypsy woman who's accompanying them to this other town that Niemon lives in because she was being beaten up by another gypsy man who was abusing her because she was dancing for him or something. It's complicated, but she's basically accompanying them, and she starts falling in love with Lawrence. And she doesn't understand why he's so depressed. Of course, it's because he's the Wolfman. And the Wolfman story in this is really, really well done. It's emotional, it's complex, and Lon Chaney Jr. has to do quite a bit of acting in it, so it's a well done story. What am I trying to say? I keep getting lost in thought. Being a gypsy, she knows quite a bit about werewolves, and which is another bit of continuity that I like. And basically, though, she's trying to get him to feel happy and upbeat. So she asks him, since he says his name is Lawrence, she asks, "Do they call you Larry?" And he says, "They used to." Reference to the Wolfman, because in the previous film they just called him Talbot, and I like that. It's a good bit of continuity. And now the Wolfman's continuity was never all that bad until the next film, but I'm not even going to get into House of Dracula because that's a piece of shit. The Wolfman's continuity was always quite good. It was always Dracula's and the Frankenstein monsters that was always all over the place. Basically what happens is, instead of waiting for Niemon, the gypsy woman, wanting Larry to find peace, shoots him with a silver bullet, again, taking him out of the movie, waiting for the Frankenstein monster to be revived. So now none of them get to interact. Basically what happens is Niemon revives the Frankenstein monster. The Frankenstein monster kills Daniel. The Frankenstein monster takes Niemon on a running trip through the countryside as the villagers chase him, and they sink into quicksand, and the movie's over. It's kind of a strange ending. It's an anticlimactic ending. None of the monsters meet up, and that's hands down my biggest criticism of it, is that the monsters never have any screen time together. That's why I wanted to watch the damn movie, and none of them have any screen time together, so that drives me insane. Other problems with it, it's not a very visually impressive film. The acting is good. Karloff is great as Dr. Niemann, but Karloff is great in everything, so that's not, you know, saying much, but he's cool as Dr. Niemann. Lon Chaney Jr., this is one of his best performances as the Wolfman. He played him 5 times, and he does quite good in this role, especially in this film with the emotional story. And the Wolfman story is hands down the best part about House of Frankenstein. Dracula and the Frankenstein monsters stories are both kind of been there, done that. Dracula's is typical. The Frankenstein monster doesn't wake up to the last 2 minutes of the movie, but overall, it's just not a very impressive movie. It's kind of been there, done that with the 2 other monsters. Really, the Wolfman story is the only reason to watch it. It's not a very visually impressive film. There's not really any great atmosphere in it, except for the opening scene. The opening scene is kind of atmospheric in that run-down old prison with seeing Karloff's mad eyes as he sits in that prison cell, drawing all over the walls. It's great. But after that, it's not a very visually impressive film. The side acting is all very typical for monster movies, Jack Pierce's makeup, again, it's kind of been there, done that. I mean, his stuff with the Wolfman is still great. The Frankenstein monster played by Glenn Strange looks pretty good. And my only problem with him, though, is that he plays the monster as a very hulking mass of just dead. So he brings very little life to the monster, which I don't really like. And having him play alongside Karloff in this movie is a little strange because Karloff always played him with some tragedy. Glenn Strange really doesn't do that. So, not really much to say about House of Frankenstein. I do ultimately think you should watch it if you're a fan of the Universal movies. You're gonna be disappointed, but I mean, otherwise it's not bad. It's just extremely disappointing and not what people paid for. So, if you're just looking for kind of the epitome of Universal monster movies, I think this is kind of a summation of it. So, I think it's a decent movie, just not a great one. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. So that's what I have to say about House of Frankenstein individually. So that'll do it for this kind of a Universal Monster special, which is also an advertisement for our Geeky Gentleman episode this week. So I recommend these 3 DVDs if you're going for budget buys, and I do recommend House of Frankenstein. It's just not a fantastic movie. So that'll about do it for this review. So thank you very much for watching. Again, make sure to check out that episode of Geeky Gentleman this week. Again, it's on The Bride of Frankenstein, and if you're watching it now, I'm not sure. By the time I post this, Ian will probably have posted the episode, so you can check that out in the below comments. And also check out our ZGC special this month on the Universal Monster movie, so be sure to check that out as well. We're going to be posting that the day before Halloween, and it should be a lot of fun. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check out those 2 other videos. I'm Zazubaar. Have a creepy October, but a safe October, and I'll see you all soon. Farewell.